beautiful people. Welcome to day 19 of the 30 days immigration question and answer series. My name is Wolo. I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant based in New Brunswick, Canada. And today I'll be answering 4 questions instead of the typical 1 question that I usually answer during this series. This is just to make sure that I am, answering people's questions as fast as they come instead of taking them one by one. So for the first question, it says, is it advisable for couples who both qualify for express entry to have separate express entry applications whilst adding their spouse as dependents on each? So I'm going to explain it in this way. If you and your spouse, let me call you Mr. Lagbaja. Let's say Mr. Lagbaja and Mrs. Lagbaja, they are both qualified to create express entry profiles. Then the answer is yes, you can create express entry profiles. But once you receive an invitation to apply, let's say Mr. Lagbaja has received his invitation to apply, Mrs. Lagbaja has also received her own invitation to apply, it means that one person has to decline their own invitation to apply, and then one person will submit on behalf of the family. If it is just to create profiles, yes, both of you can create independent profiles. But the moment you receive an invitation to apply to submit your complete application for permanent residence, then one person has to decline and then one person will submit on behalf of the family. I hope that is clear. So for those of you who fall into this situation, please check yourself. And I usually also recommend this, that couples who qualify to create express entry profiles should go ahead and create their express entry profiles. You might be waiting for one person, whereas the other person is more qualified to even receive an invitation to apply. For instance, one person might be in an occupation that falls under healthcare. Another person might be in an occupation that falls under tech. And if we go by what is currently happening, the person whose occupation falls under healthcare has the chance of actually getting an invitation to apply if they meet other requirements like high language scores, a master's program, and work experience and all of that. And if this person meets the requirements and qualifies more, there's a likelihood of the person getting an invitation to apply. If the person under them is the only one that has evaluated his credentials, whereas his spouse is under healthcare, the chances of getting an invitation to apply is slim. That is why I recommend for both spouses to evaluate their credentials and write the language exams and go into the pool independent of each other, as long as their occupations are not the same. So take this advice from me. If you and your spouse can write the language exams and evaluate your credentials, then create an independent express entry profile. But the moment one person receives an invitation to apply, the second person has to withdraw their application or cancel their application. So this is my best advice. For the second question, I hope this email finds you well. I recently came across your page on YouTube and have some questions. Could you please share what the best provincial pathway in Canada are for someone with a 1-year work permit? Additionally, do you know of any places where I can learn French? Specifically programs that will help me prepare for the TEF over a few months. I look forward to your response. Okay, so in answering this question, I don't know what your work permit is under. There are different categories of work permit. There are people whose spouses are students and they came with work permit, and there are people who got job offers and they came with work permit. So I don't know which of the category you fall under, and I don't know the province that you are in to enable me answer your questions correctly. In terms of the best provincial pathways, you have to look at the province that you are residing in for you to know which pathway you fit into for provincial nomination. If you're living in Ontario, look at the Ontario website and check if your occupation is in demand, if you fall under any of the provincial pathways. There are several provincial pathways in Ontario, so you have to check the website. Check the provincial website. Since you didn't mention which province you are in, I cannot recommend any pathway for you. So this also applies to people who are asking for pathways for provincial nomination, especially those who are inside Canada. If you are inside Canada, the province you are living in is the best province to check which pathway you will be eligible for before you start looking outside. If you cannot find any pathway that you're eligible for in your province, then you can start looking for other pathways outside your province. But if you're eligible for one, then you can align yourself properly to get a provincial nomination. Then in terms of TEF, I know Alliance Française is a global institution that teach people French language skills. So you can just Google Alliance Française. Okay, so I believe I have answered this question number 2. I'll move on to the third question. So the third question is, Good morning, ma. I have an MSc in international business and work as a consultant in a small audit firm. One of my roles at work is business analysis. I created my EE profile using NOC 21221. My first degree is accounting. Is my MSc enough to claim business analyst under tech, or do I need additional certificates? Will Allison certificate suffice? Please note I'm looking to apply to SINP Tech Talent Pathway. Okay, so in answering your question, your educational qualifications qualifies you to create your profile under express entry. You do not need your education to align with your work experience as long as it is express entry. But when it comes to provincial nomination, such as SINP, they are very, very critical with education aligning with your work experience. It is only Saskatchewan that does that. And I believe your international business qualification, that's your master's qualification in international business, should align with your business analysis work experience. But one thing you should look out for is your transcript. Is there anything that points out to analysis in your transcript? Go and look at the courses you did when you were doing your MSc. Is there anything that aligns with analysis, financial analysis, business analysis, data analysis? If you have done courses that aligns with this in your MSc, then that's fine. But if there is no course at all in the MSc program that aligns with business analysis, that means you should look for another program or another certificate that aligns properly. But in terms of certificates, you cannot just choose any certificate like that. An analysis certificate is not really recognized. If it is the certificate where you get the designation of business analyst, that's IIBA, right? If it is that kind of certificate you are presenting, then they would accept it. That's the International Institute of Business Analysis. If you get a certificate from them, I believe that they will accept it more. But the first thing you should do is look at your transcript. What are the courses that you did during your MSc? Are there courses related to data analysis, financial analysis, business analysis that were part of your master's program? If yes, then you do not need another certification. But if no, then you need another certification and a proper certification from a designated institute. It's just that Saskatchewan, they are very, very thorough when it comes to things like this. And sometimes they might not even accept the certification if it is not from a university, So that is the best answer I can give to your question. And I'll move on to the next question. The next question is, hello, Wolo, please refer to below this link. Kindly clarify if the Caregiver Pathway application that is on hold in the link here differs from the PSW to PR pathway mentioned below. Thanks. So the Caregiver Pathway has two options. There is the Child Caregiver Pathway. There's the Home Support Worker pathway. There are two in one. The Child Caregiver are for people providing care to children in their households. Then the Home Support Worker Program are for people providing support to people who have disabilities, who have ill health. Typically, people who have nursing qualifications or healthcare qualifications are the ones that are qualified for the Home Support Worker Program. At least you're providing support to people in their houses, medical support. So that is what the Caregiver Pathway is for. The pilot program for this pathway stopped in July. And they mentioned that they will start an enhanced Caregiver Pathway. Now, if you ask me PSW to PR pathway, there is nothing like PSW to PR pathway. There is no program like that. So I don't understand when you ask this question of PSW to PR pathway. The caregiver pathway, like I said, has two options, one for child caregiver, the other one for support workers who are providing support to people who have ill health, people who have disabilities in their houses, typically people who have qualifications in healthcare like nurses, nursing assistants, personal support workers, providing care to people in their houses. That was the program that was there by July. The enhanced caregiver pathway that they have announced, they've not announced the details yet. So for the PSW to PR pathway that you're talking about, there is no program like that. I believe I have answered your question. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye-bye.
Our home and a in God we will trust. Be the glory